the ghost quietly seated.
Here we go, baby. Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
All in. Don't worry, no drops
Oh
or
yes, and no flash pictures, please.
Now we got him.
Are frightfully sensitive to bright lights. Our library is well stocked with priceless first editions, only ghost stories, of course, and marble busts of the greatest ghost writers
See the heads?
the
They're moving.
literary
They're
world has
moving.
Yeah. I'll do a video on how those are done, or maybe I'll say it when I get back.
I know how they're done.
Here to the
Don't say it,
haunted
because I'll do it.
Actually, we have 999 happy haunts.
999 ghosts here, Benny.
For 1,000. Any volunteers?
Me, I do.
If you should decide to join us, final arrangements may be made at the end of the tour.
Okay. I'll make a final arrangement.
I can do that.
As long as it has some chargers and stuff. As long as they can meet my needs, I'll be there.
We find it delightfully unlivable here in this ghost city. Every room has wall-to-wall creaking and hot and cold running chills. Listen.
Okay, dude.
Also, we're trying to get out of there.
Someone's trying to open that door.
Probably good. Well, we stopped around and let him in. Oh, I think 13 is because 13 is an unlucky number.
Yeah. You know that?
I knew it, but I just remembered it.
Let there be music from regions beyond. Wizards,
Yeah, right there, Benny.
wherever you dwell, give us a hint by ringing a bell. Serpents and spiders, tail of a rat, call in the spirits wherever they're at.
The happy haunts have received your sympathetic vibrations and are beginning to materialize. They're assembling for a swinging wake,
Look at them.
and they'll be expecting.
Down there, see the ghosts, Benny? Having a party down there.
It is. She decapitated all of her husbands. That's where all the heads are disappearing on the pictures.
That's interesting.
Will I get married? This is actually catchy.
Oh, no, no, ghosts, Benny.
This tiny little bit right here is actually kind of catchy. Going backwards. Like down backwards. Wait, like we can sleep if this like a bed. Hey, just go. Go back.
I don't know why you're here.
He's I don't know what it is.
The grave digger? The guy that digs the grave?
No, I think he's here to like graveyard. I don't know. I think he takes care of the place. There's rumors this one is Walt Disney, but it is not Walt Disney. Blow off his head off. It is not Walt Disney. I'm confirming that now. Is it a mummy? That's me, little guy. Don't worry.
Beware of hitchhiking ghosts.
Anyone with the peacemakers?
They have selected you to fill our quota, and they'll haunt you until you return.
Lots of Benny. What I got? He's on our car. Get out of here. He was on our car. He left though. Get out of here. Let's go.
I will. I'll make final arrangements. This place is nice. I mean, it fits all of our needs.
Now I will raise the safety bar, and the ghost will follow you home.
Can't hear anything.
Where do we make final arrangements?
Where do I sign up?
I want to know where to make final arrangements. Final arrangements will be made. Mark my words. Here we are at the Hall of Presidents. We're here at the Hello, Benman.
51
Hello.
presidents, right?
We're here at the Hall of Presidents. We did go on Big Thunder and Splash Mountain, but I did not record those, so those will not be in the video. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for this reverent celebration of America's leaders, past and present. And now, the Walt Disney World Resort is proud to present the Hall of Presidents.
This program is dedicated to the memory of Walt Disney. In 1971, his love for America inspired the creation of the Hall of Presidents, a place to celebrate the optimism and goodwill he saw at the heart of the American story. Walt's vision was to honor the nation by honoring the American presidency.
It is 1783, and the smoke is clearing in the wake of the Revolutionary War. Over the course of 8 grinding years, General George Washington has led a force of shopkeepers, farmers, and Native American allies to victory over the greatest military power in the world. A new nation has been born, independent and free. The founders must form a national government. In 1787, through months of passionate debate, they create a written constitution. For the country's highest office, They imagine something new in the history of the world. A leader not born to power like a king or queen. A leader who has not seized power through conquest. A leader not separate from the people, but elected by the people, from among the people. We, the people. This is a new idea, an American idea. The idea of a president. The people don't know exactly what a president will be, but there is little doubt who it will be. George Washington's stature and bearing has marked him as a leader. His integrity has made him a great one. Washington knows that many generals who have led successful revolutions make themselves dictators or kings. Instead, he steps down from power and retires to his home, Mount Vernon. The world takes note, and George Washington becomes the symbol of American ideals. In the first presidential election, it's Washington by a landslide. The only doubt seems to be his own. He writes, "Integrity and firmness is all I can promise. Integrity and firmness is exactly what we need." Everything he does as president will set a model for his successors. His final act may be the most important of all. After 2 terms, with no term limit in the Constitution and amid overwhelming support to stay in office, he steps down once again and hands power back to the people. He wants us to speak, to elect a new president. During the early years of the Republic, we choose leaders as different as Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Andrew Jackson. Elections are often bitter. Each president stands at that fiery intersection where personal character meets the challenges of the times. Some call the presidency a glorious burden. Jefferson calls it a splendid misery. We, the people, must choose well. We elect 15 presidents before the course of history brings us to the edge of a crisis like no other. A nation born of freedom still permits slavery. As the country pushes west, will new states be slave or free? The question produces bitter conflict. The issue rocks the election of 1860 and brings Abraham Lincoln onto the national stage. The tall, lanky, some say uncouth candidate from Illinois.
Apparently, he actually grew his beard on the recommendation of, I think it was 11 or a 9-year-old girl.
The House divided against itself cannot stand, he said. With Lincoln's election, the House does indeed divide. Civil War. 11 states. The war becomes a defining passage in the American story. The president's own inner strength, depth of character, changed the course of history. Lincoln had come up the hard way to the American frontier, with less than a year of formal schooling. His early years were scarred by tragedy. His first love. He struggles with depression, but never loses his determination to rise above it. He once said he's driven by a desire to leave the world a little better place for having lived in it. The war rages. Lincoln fights to preserve the Union and end slavery. Neither is a sure thing. At Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 6 months after one of the bloodiest battles of the war, the president dedicates a cemetery to the thousands of soldiers who died there, in words we can never forget.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives, that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Benny's over here messing with his chair. I'm sorry.
500,000 Americans is spilled in the Civil War. President Lincoln's enduring hope is to give true meaning to the sacrifices of so many, to lead us to that new birth of freedom. With the end of the war and the end of slavery, a new birth truly begins. As we roll toward the 20th century, settlers roll west on wagon wheels and railroads connect the nation coast to coast. Millions of immigrants pour in from Europe and Asia. Population doubles. Our economy triples. Our standing among nations rises. We need presidents who can lead both at home and abroad. At the same time, a young Theodore Roosevelt is retreating from New York politics and personal tragedy. The death of his wife and his mother on the same day in the same house. In the Badlands of North Dakota, he rethinks his life and the life of his country. He returns stronger in body and spirit. His renewed energy is just what his country needs. American industry is booming, but social tensions are rising. A progressive movement is bubbling up, pushing for change, and change is needed in the working and living conditions in cities. The gap widens between rich and poor. The demand for change grows stronger. Teddy Roosevelt is a knight on a crusade. He speaks with force and vitality in clear terms that make colorful headlines at a time when mass market newspapers have become the new media. To define his foreign policy, he borrows a phrase from an African proverb: speak softly and carry a big stick. But his greatest accomplishments are made at home. He breaks up giant monopolies, protects workers' rights, and calls for a square deal for all Americans, rich and poor, capitalist and wage earner.
And a square deal for every man and everyone in the United States.
He calls on America to be as great as the natural grandeur of its lands. Keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground, he tells us. And we do.
1929, the bottom fell out of the market. 12 million unemployed. The bread lines and the soup. The results of the 1932 election now appear.
When we elect our 32nd president, it is the worst of times. The course of history and the course of one president's life again shape a turning point in our national destiny. Franklin D. Roosevelt, paralyzed by polio, knows how to restore the faith of a people paralyzed by the Great Depression.
I believe in practical explanation and in practical quality.
He has found the inner strength his countrymen now need. He speaks to us like a friend, a neighbor. His optimism is contagious. His voice perfect for the latest breakthrough medium, radio. He calls us to believe we have nothing to fear but fear itself. And we do believe.
Tonight's attacks on England are perhaps the most widespread of the war in the course of the day.
But an even greater challenge dominates his final years in office. The Second World War.
We must be the great arsenal of democracy. This is an emergency as serious as war itself.
We stun the world with our production. When bombs fall on U.S. troops in Pearl Harbor, he calls us to fight on the war front and sacrifice on the home front.
Today,
The world changes. The country changes. And yet, in one sense, what we need most from our presidents has never changed. A guiding vision that calls forth the best that America can be.
will outer space be developed for the benefit of all mankind? Or will it become another focus for the arms race? The choice is urgent, and it is ours to make. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
But really, it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome.
One of the agreements that President Sadat and Prime Minister Begin are signing tonight is entitled A Framework for Peace in the Middle East.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
You have lost too much, but you have certainly not lost America.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
Loving this country requires the willingness to speak out for what is right, to shake up the status quo. That's America.
Our presidency is no longer just an idea. It is an idea with a proud history. Ladies and gentlemen, the presidents of the United States of America. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard M. Nixon, Gerald R. Ford, Jimmy Carter,
Scratching my nose.
Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and now we come to the present. Once again, we place our trust in the idea of a president, as we have from the beginning.
My fellow citizens, no event could have filled me with greater anxieties than that notification on the 14th day of April, 1789, that you had selected me to lead our nation. But it was with the confidence of my fellow citizens that I took an oath. 35 simple words that have been repeated by every American president throughout history.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. From the beginning, America has been a nation defined by its people. At our founding, it was the American people who rose up to defend our freedoms and win our independence. It is why our founders began our great Constitution with 3 very simple words: we the people. Since that moment, each generation of Americans has taken its place in the defense of our freedom, our flag, and our nation under God.
Apparently Donald Trump said
These are the
his
achievements
animatronic
of the American spirit.
wasn't,
The spirit of a people who
that he didn't say some stuff that he wanted him to. Apparently he wasn't like rude enough or something. Like he wanted to add like little touches of like rude in it, I guess. About like China and Mexico and stuff like that, but I don't know the update on that. I'll look at that later.
It's a privilege to serve as the President of the United States, to stand here among so many great leaders of our past, and to work on behalf of the American people.
The presidency of the United States is a role unique in the world, an office entrusted to each president by us, we the people. Therein lies the genius of that new idea, now over 200 years old. A new idea our presidents have turned into a great American idea again and again.
Oh, Trump was doing some thumbs up. Yes, win American flag action here. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our presentation. Please gather your first now belongings and enter to the doors to the right side. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
That was nice. It's a nice little thing to sit down and do, isn't it? Here we go to the next thing. And by the way, I did just have Dole Whip. And for lunch, I had nachos. He was in the middle of singing the Big Thunder Mountain thing.
Alright, you ready? Ready?
Yeah. This is a short video, but I'm gonna add more to it. I hope we do more. Here we go. Last time I didn't record this.
Already?
Right off the bat. Right off.
Yeah. It's a little calm, but yeah, we'll get a little more up here.
Still, it's still bad. That's still happening. Believe they're in there.
Yeah, let's go up to you.
Yeah. No hands. Are we on? No hands.
No hands.
No hands at all. I can't hold on because I'm holding this thing with two hands.
Turn it.
It's weird how real these look.
I know, it's incredible.
I'm sorry if this is loud, but this place is loud. His face changed.
Yeah.
I hope I got that. I hope I got it. I hope I got it. I'll check you in a bit. Oh, that was not right now, obviously.
Ready?
Yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, you're coming.
Down we go.
There we go. Oh, so we're rocking.
My hat and glasses. They said I will be bringing stuff. Oh no, singing. Why do those animals look so surprised? Look on the staircase and pointing at them. They look so surprised. Rumpy over there on the piano. I don't know if that's an organ.
Yeah, well, that's right.
I don't know if that's an organ or a piano. Hey, there's a creepy lady at your door. Whoa.
I wish we could keep going on that.
I know. Bar going up. Yep. Get it out. Get out of here. What do you think? Coming on?
Oh, it's fun. I love that ride. I love it, dude. I think that's better than
There was James' new shirt I just showed. Don't know. Have you done your video on that yet?
Huh?
Have you done your video on that yet?
What?
Your shirts.
Yeah.
There, that's one of them.
Like 3 in the morning last night.
We'll see whatever we're doing next. We're getting on a teacup.
Close the door. Ready?
What's up?
Oh, yeah.
My water bottle's a little dinged up.
That's okay. Huh? Wait, where'd it go? Oh, yeah. Make sure you hang on to him. Here, hold on.
But it's been serving me well.
There you go.
It has been
keep him there.
It has been serving me well.
Ready? Pick it up. Come on. Good time. Oh, yeah. Here we go. So it begins.
Yeah.
Let's go, Benny.
Unless Benny wants to hold my camera.
No, it's fine. You hold it.
To be honest, I kind of want him.
If you want him to, go ahead then.
Benny, hey, do not drop it, okay, buddy?
I would.
Benny, please do not drop it, okay?
I'm not sure I trust him.
Gotta trust, put trust in touch it.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm swinging so much. Radio tower.
Lean into it. Lean into it.
That's terrible, I think. Don't lean into me. Just keep.
We want it to bail out.
Oh my god, we're good.
Okay.
Let's go in here. Let's go. Full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead.
Oh my god.
Chucky's still losing his gig, huh?
Remain seated until your teacup comes to a stop, then walk to the nearest exit.
Fine.
How about now?
Scat.
Hello and welcome to the Mad Tea Party.
Go.
For your safety, please keep your party together, abide by the ground markings in the gate, and maintain the
I'm walking between these.
party and others. Your face covering must be worn at all times, covering the mouth and nose.
Well. Okay.
Yeah, put him there so he doesn't.
There we go.